Hey there, Razorback fans. I'm Sydney Lemmerher, and today I'm excited to present an exclusive behind-the-scenes look into the lives of two extraordinary athletes from the Razorback volleyball and softball teams. Introducing Hannah Hogue and Raigan Kramer. These two players showcase unmatched skill and passion every time they step onto the field and court. Get ready to be inspired by their stories. But before we dive into their stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They're the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievements and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so happy to have them on board. Now, let's get down to business. As your host for today's interviews and former Razorback gymnast, I understand the dedication and determination it takes to compete at the collegiate level. I'm excited to dive into the experiences and insights of Hannah and Raigan, two incredible athletes who embody the Razorback spirit. It's time to hear their stories and discover what makes them true champions. So hi guys, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course, excited to have you guys. Could you both start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you got into your respective sports?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Raigan Kramer. I'm a junior at the University of Arkansas. I'm from Topeka, Kansas, and I played left field for the softball team. I got into softball because I am a sibling of two older sisters, and so they both played, and I'd kind of just followed in suit. I started playing on my older sister's team, and then I kept going throughout high school, and they both played throughout high school, but I was the only one that went on and played in college.
Yeah. What age did you start?
Probably like t-ball, and then actual softball probably like 6.
Yeah, so it's been in your life forever. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm Hannah. I play volleyball, and I'm a setter. All going into my senior season, and I started playing volleyball. I was like 9, and my sisters also played. So I watched them. I actually started playing softball, and then
there you go.
Yeah, and then kind of grew to love volleyball and switched over. So
yeah. So why did you both choose Arkansas?
I chose Arkansas just because it felt like family, and I really enjoyed the people that I met on my visit. And when I met the coaches, they just really made me feel welcomed and appreciated, and so that is what really drew me to Arkansas.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I'm from Arkansas, so both my parents came to school here, so this was my dream school. And then, like you said, I met Jason, and kind of the same thing. It just felt like family, and he's just a great guy, and I fell in love with it here.
Can you both share a moment that you might have had that made you realize that your sport is what you wanted to do in college? We dedicate a lot of our lives to our sports, and some people get burnout, but clearly you guys haven't. You've made it to the collegiate level. So was there that moment where you're like, man, I want to play volleyball in college. You said your sisters didn't, but you got to. I want to play softball in college.
Yeah, honestly, growing up, I wanted to play in the WNBA, and then my dad told me, he was like, if you want to play basketball in college, you're gonna need to get a lot better. And then that was probably like 6th or 7th grade, and that's kind of when I really started to get good at softball, and I switched positions around that time, and then that kind of just took off for me, and I joined a new club that took it really seriously, and that's when I was like, okay, I really like this, and this is something I want to do at the next level.
Club sports are intense. You have to be fully committed if you want to be in a club sport. So I totally get that. What about you?
I wouldn't say it was a moment. I think I just never wanted to leave the gym.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, this is obviously something I love. And then junior high, I started getting some attention from coaches, and I realized it could actually be a possibility. But yeah, I think just falling in love with the game, over the years, kind of did it for me.
Yeah, and that's a lot to realize, I want to spend the rest of my time and my social life and all of that stuff. So you'll bring a unique perspective because you're from Arkansas, but just you were once a young fan. What do you guys want young Razorback fans to, know and remember about you as they aspire to be you? Because one day they'll be in your shoes.
Yeah, I think for me, growing up, the greatest Razorbacks I can remember are ones that just really loved being a Hog, and they just, they laid it all out there every game and played with such passion. So that for me, I want people to look at me and feel the same way, that I never, left anything in the tank, and that I was just never about myself and just there for my teammates and loving what I was doing.
Yeah, I've got the opportunity to work with a bunch of younger athletes. I give a lot of lessons, and so I kind of use that as my outlet to uplift that younger generation. And there's like something about succeeding in the game when I play is so fun, but then like getting that text like, hey, I went 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, and it's like being that coach, like being able to see that side of it, to me that's just even more rewarding. And so then they get to come out to the games, and I've never really had that before, because growing up I didn't go to a lot of college games, or I wasn't super big into any college teams, and so now getting to be on the other side and getting to do that for them, I see how special it can be and the impact I can make, and it's really cool.
How do you think social media can be used to kind of bring positivity to female sports?
I think that if female athletes are promoting themselves in a good light, other people with young girls are seeing that, and they want their kids to look up to you. And I think using that kind of the same as empowering the younger generation through like your actions. But social media is getting bigger and bigger, especially for younger and younger kids, and so them being able to follow us, seeing like all the positive things we're involved with, not just softball but outside of softball, I think that can really help spread like positive vibes around our sport and just in general.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it just makes it so visible, and I think for a long time it was just kind of hidden, and you just see it every once in a while, you know, on ESPN or something. And now, like you said, like little girls can look at our socials and see what we're doing, and that comes with a lot of pressure, but it's good pressure that you can be a great example. So I think just using it cautiously and just being aware that what you're putting out, hopefully people are going to see it. And I think more and more people are seeing it, you know, with our like team social medias and then our personals, like it's just getting more viewers.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it there, you know, that the team social medias are even getting more and more like the male teams, more and more coverage of you guys. And even you guys are seeing it in ticket sales. Like I was talking to some of your teammates about, you know, Nebraska had their match in the middle of the football stadium. Like that is so cool to me. That is awesome. Yeah, and you guys are breaking records every weekend, more and more. But it wasn't always like that. So what advice would you have to maybe a team or an athlete that might be discouraged by the lack of visibility that their sport is getting?
I would just say that it just takes one moment or one person to change that. I think you can look at what this season for women's basketball has done, and the people, Kaylin Clark, the other big stars that have changed that. I mean, they've broke so many records this year, and you never knew that was going to happen a few years ago. And so I think just knowing that it takes one game, a few people, like you never know when it can happen. So you're always just like pushing to grow the sport, and that happens by having positive interactions with people and, you know, shedding that positive light on it at all times.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think the advice I would give that it's happening. Like it's not impossible. You never know what's going to catch fire. And then I like what you said about the positive interactions, because, you know, it takes one person leaving that conversation and then being like, well, I'm going to go check them out here, and then talking to a friend. And I think it just can just catch fire so quickly. And, you know, we're doing amazing things, and things like this, See Her Greatness, helps show that. But, yeah, I think people will just be drawn to it and just keep doing what you do. It'll eventually, like cream always rises, you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It'll be seen.
Okay, so some fun questions, not as intense questions coming up. So can you share a standout moment from your career where you were just had a profound sense of accomplishment, whether in club or in college, that one moment that you're just going to be like, I'm always going to remember that?
I'd say last year I hit the walk-off against
So no matter who.
I hit a walk-off, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think it was against Harvard. This is going to be really bad if it was wrong. But I hit the walk-off against Harvard in our regionals, and that was just like, when you hit a home run, it's like, it's a surreal feeling, but when it's a walk-off and then it's like the game's over, it's just like so hype, and that was the first time I've ever done that. And then, yeah, it was just amazing. I don't think I'll
ever beat that.
I think for me, it was probably last year. I was setting for the team as the primary setter, and we went to Tennessee and in a top 10 matchup and beat them, and that was just like it kind of proved it to everyone else who thought we weren't good enough to be ranked that high. And we just kind of went there and made a statement, and from there it caught fire, and then the Elite Eight was obviously pretty special. But I feel like that was really the moment when it felt like we'd done something special.
No, this season was definitely like my most memorable of watching Arkansas volleyball. It was so fun to watch you guys. Do you guys, either one of you, have any sort of specific rituals, or are you superstitious? Do you have anything you have to do before a game?
This is funny that you asked, because superstitions are a very big thing in softball, and I am completely against them.
Oh wow, you're like one of the first softball girls that's been like, no, not at all.
Because this weekend people were saying like, oh, we won on Friday, we lost on Saturday, like what did we do differently on Friday? I'm like, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we outplay them and that we win. And it's just funny because I like can't get into all of it.
I'm also not very superstitious. I try not to be. You kind of get caught in it sometimes. But I do have like some rituals. Like I'll go in the locker room and just take a few minutes and like read some verses that have been sticking out to me, and then from there, that's pretty much it. I just try to do that thing, but try not to make it too superstitious.
Do you guys have anything that kind of keeps you like in the zone, whether it's, you know, a really high intense game, or maybe you had just like you messed up on the last set or something? Do you have anything that kind of like brings you back to reality?
I have something kind of similar, but in my locker I just have like these little notes that have been written to me from like family, or you know, some little kids that say like, thanks for coaching me, and I keep those up just to remember that the moment is like so much bigger, life is so much bigger, and like whenever the moment gets too big, I just think of like, there's so much more that I'm looking forward to in my life. Like it's not just softball for me, and I think that, especially the failing sport, that keeps me like grounded, knowing that, you know, the sun's gonna rise tomorrow and life's gonna go on.
That's a really good reminder. Who was the first female athlete that you guys remember looking up to? And it doesn't have to be from your own sport, but if it is, just kind of talk about her a little bit.
I enjoyed watching Haley McClenny. She was an outfielder for Alabama, and I don't remember a ton because I didn't really have social media, but I remember my mom took me to the College World Series, and she made some good plays, and I was like, I really liked watching that girl.
In college, there was an athlete who played for Texas. I know, it's incredible. Chloe Collins was her name, and she was a setter, and she was just like 5'2" and just completely running the court. And she's smaller than me, and I'm pretty undersized. So I enjoyed watching her. It kind of showed me that it was possible and that I could go do it.
Okay, final question. How would you address any haters that you might have and advocate for greater recognition and respect for your sport?
I don't really address it at all. I just kind of see it, move on. My dad used to tell me this growing up, but he's like, they just want a reaction out of you. So like, if you don't give somebody the reaction that they want, they move on faster than you can even remember it happened. But as soon as you give someone that reaction that they want, that's like what they're feeding off of.
For me, I think about like, they don't know what's going into it. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and they think they do, and then people agree. But it's like, you know, like people in your dugout are the only people that know what's going on. The people in our gym are the only people that know what's going on and how hard it is. So just knowing that and realizing that maybe part of what they're saying is right, but not the whole story.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you both so much. That is a wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to the phenomenal female athletes who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness shine through throughout the whole entire thing. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Auto Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from the See Her Greatness campaign by following us on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievements of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt signing off.